In 1951, Bette Nesmith Brown, a Texan typist who was terrible at her job, invented Mistake Out, a white liquid that she used to cover her mistakes. This solution became so popular that she eventually sold it to Gillette, a company that has a monopoly on hair removal. In the 1968 Warsaw Pact invasion, citizens of Prague painted their street signs white in a non-violent gesture of protest. The story goes that only the signs pointing back to Moscow remained. Upon arrival, 500,000 troops were lost. Recording history is about deciding what is worth preserving and what is not. Information deemed important is recorded, preserved, and looped, while information that is considered unnecessary or unimportant is deliberately forgotten. For power lies in the ability to select repeatable molds. This is most evident in propaganda and censorship. Censorship is an active erasure of collective memory. But sometimes it is also a way to produce surplus of meaning. During an investigation of Nixon's Watergate scandal, the Federal Scientific Corps found a tape with 18.5 minutes of silence. What was erased supposedly contained criminalizing information that could be used against Nixon. His loyal secretary, Rosemary Woods, claimed that she accidentally recorded over the tape as she was transcribing it and was interrupted by a phone call. With one foot on the transcribing pedal and a hand on the phone behind her, the pose that she assumed to demonstrate the moment of accidental erasure has been dubbed the Rosemary Stretch. Rather than erasing information, Nixon's silence has produced a rich mythology based on cover-ups and speculation, creating multiple versions of history. Until the erased information can be recovered, these 18.5 minutes of silence remain preserved in the US National Archives. The Classical Archive works to preserve a version of history that is desirable by present dominant political and aesthetic standards. Imposing measurements and definitions, it is a preservation of past regulations and functions as a document for the awareness of power. The Archive, on the other hand, challenges the Classical Archive. It is undisciplined, never ceasing to modify, to forget, to disturb any sense of certainty and stability in historical, and by default, present narratives. This is perfectly embodied by the internet, which offers multiple realities and fantasies, intermingling and shifting. So at any given time, reality is constructed of infinite, superimposing hyperrealities. Simultaneously, each time we refresh our browsers, every time we retrieve a file, bits of data are altered or lost. In the manifesto for the data of the cyborg embryo, Hans Scharl writes that loss and becoming are part of one process. Mutilation is loss and becoming at the same time. Lose an arm, become a fountain. Get blown to pieces, get a new shape. Loss, erasure, and forgetting, for me, are generative methodologies. To reinvent histories, to mutate ideas and identities to the point that they are untraceable to their origins, to constantly refresh our relationships to the myths and semiotics that code our bodies. Through my research, I have been advocating forgetting of established methods and systems, a breaking away from the tyranny of an endless loop of absolute knowledge. However, on a personal level, I haven't really been practicing this on a daily basis. So I wanted to integrate forgetting to my daily practice. At one point, I prepared myself for a month of abstaining from the use of memory storage technology. The first step I took was listing all the ways I record consciously, then subconsciously, and automatically. So I decided not to write manually. I didn't ask for reminders, and I deleted all texts and emails that I received. The first week of forgetting was a mess. I forgot to go to a piano lesson I was supposed to teach, and I completely missed an appointment that I was really pushy about getting. This scared me, so I became very anxious about scheduling new appointments and events. I began inventing new non-externally visual mnemonics, used oral acronyms, and used fingers for binary information. I didn't tell people about my experiment because it felt like a disability. I also felt a bit embarrassed in some cases. After my second week, though, I was experiencing so much frustration and anxiety about my limitations that I met with a teacher who suggested that I complain to everyone I was working with about what I was doing. And so I could make up less embarrassing excuses about why I couldn't write my own name. It felt like coming out. The first person I had to come out to was a student's mother. She asked me to record myself playing a piece for her son so that they could work on it together. I responded that I couldn't, because I was taking a month to not record things as part of my artistic research. She didn't respond. The way our lives are structured now within hyperspeed, super productive, over-consuming capitalism makes it very difficult to delete information. A step-by-step guide to deactivating Facebook temporarily. Number 1, find the deactivating button at the bottom of your account settings. Number 2, go to a page that says, "Are you sure you want to deactivate your account?" Your friends' photos will be shown, and above will be written, "Taylor will miss you, Katarina will miss you, Denise will miss you." Number 3, give a reason why you're deactivating your account. Select "This is temporary." A message will pop up suggesting that you log out instead. Click "Close." Number 4, click "Deactivate" at the bottom of the page. A message will pop up saying, "Are you sure you want to deactivate your account?" 5, click "Deactivate now." You'll be linked to a page confirming that your account has been deactivated, but that all you have to do to reactivate is to sign in again. 6, after 1 week, you will start receiving emails from Facebook updating you on what's been going on since the last time you logged in. Ignore them. Number 7, your friends will start asking you why you haven't responded to any of their Facebook messages. You realize that your account hasn't been deleted, and that it will actually take at least 2 weeks of inactivity for it to be fully inactive. In this month, I was curious to see how my work and thought process would be affected. One restriction I placed on myself was that I didn't allow myself to save files unless I needed to send an assignment to a teacher or a project, in which case I could only save it once I finished it. I also closed my browser and deleted all files at the end of each day. This meant that I needed to work on things beginning to end as soon as I remembered to do them. This severely limited my multitasking ability. So during this period of forgetting, I had an urgent deadline for a piece that was supposed to be included on an album. This piece was the only thing I worked on that couldn't be completed in a single day. So I would open Ableton Live and begin writing the piece. I wouldn't be able to finish it in 1 day, so I'd have to close the unsaved file at the end of the day. The next day I would do the same thing. Lay it out, develop, delete. Next day. Lay it out, develop, delete. Next day, lay it out, develop, and delete. Until I realized that my deadline passed a week ago. Eventually, I decided to circumvent my own rules by sending the piece to other people to get feedback, so that when they responded to me, I would get the piece back as it was and I could develop it further. The supposed danger in having a bad memory is the possibility of constantly repeating yourself. It's considered regression or a failure to learn. But this measurement of success is based on capitalist notions of progress. We learn and progress by accumulating and developing a certain knowledge base. But what this model doesn't take into consideration is that there's a gap between knowing and understanding. I'm going to continue to learn how to forget. I want to learn to the point that I forget how I've learned. I want to tear down preconceived notions of models of thought, to create new neural pathways to different ways of thinking, doing, and ultimately being. Thank you.